Today on the UOFanatic Podcast, we will be preparing you for Halloween Horror Nights 34 at Universal Studios, Florida. Our early rumors are all panning out, and Universal has been dropping news almost daily, and it's absolutely time to talk about it.
Hello? This is Jonah Jameson. Roger, over. Is this thing on?
My name is Angus, and I am a UOFanatic. Welcome to the show. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review on your platform of choice by searching UOFanatic, also on YouTube. Follow along and continue the conversation at UOFanaticPod on Twitter as well. So one of the biggest things to happen were the drop of multi-night tickets. And while these tickets may not be for everybody, they can show a window into what it's like for those of us that are addicted and have to go multiple times. And you'll see what I mean in a few minutes. So let's talk about them. They have several different versions of these tickets. They have Rush of Fear, which is basically the first 3 weeks of the event every single night. And that costs $200. And if you want that same ticket with Express, it's $610. And you heard me correct. Next is the Frequent Fear tickets. Now, these work a little differently. These are any event night except for Friday and Saturday. Few caveats. So, first caveat is it's good for the first weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then at that point, it moves to the Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. And that costs $250. And if you wanted the Express, it's too late, but it costs $730. That was sold out within less than 45 minutes for sure. Frequent Fare Plus. The Plus just basically adds on these Fridays, so you don't get the Saturdays. However, there's a caveat here too, and a very positive one. You get that first weekend as well, including that Saturday night, and you get the last weekend, including that Saturday night. So you're missing only Saturdays for the event other than the two opening and closing. And the Frequent Fare Plus costs $300, and the Express, which you can no longer get, is $840. And that sold out in less than 28 minutes. And let me just be very forward with you. That's the ticket that I get. I can go into that a little bit later. But then we also have the Ultimate Fear ticket, which costs $420, and that is every single night of the event. If you wanted the Express, it's sold out in 18 minutes, and that would set you back for a whopping $1,070. You're not mishearing me on these. $1,070. And I'll tell you what, if I lived there, that's the ticket I'd have. I spent $840, and I'm not happy about it. I mean, I'm not sad about it. Although I guess I'm not happy about it either. The amount of money is getting astronomical. I'd also like to mention, we've talked about the premium nights. They're still not sold out, but they keep raising that price. They're up to $400 from the original was, I think, $350. And then they went up to $375, and now they're up to $400. So they're still not sold out. There's some available. All right, let's get out of that crazy talk about these tickets. Let's start talking about the official announcements. In addition to those announcements, I do want to mention that Darren Scott, editor of SFX Magazine, attended a Universal Destinations UK HHN media event where Laura Sauls of the Universal HHN team provided some more in-depth details to add some extra information to what we already had. Just wanted to give credit where credit was due. Darren had he just live tweeted the event, and it had so much wonderful information. I just wanted to make sure that the proper credit is given. You can follow Darren on Twitter at Darren, DARREN_Scott, SCOTT. And yeah, he did the Lord's work for us. So I just wanted to acknowledge it. So there are only 2 houses we haven't gotten officially yet, and I'll glance over those, and I'm not gonna cover everything that we've already talked about in previous shows, but, Friday Nights at Freddy's, we still don't know anything about it, but when we know we're getting a house, right? It's more of a matter of what else are we gonna get. Laura did mention at that UK event that fans of Five Nights at Freddy's can expect announcements incoming, stressing that you're going to love the things as in plural, that they are doing. So there's some wild theories out there on that, like the Dead Coconut Club is a possibility, maybe a Louis makeover, or even wilder yet, the arcade next to the Mummy has recently closed. So I don't know. This was clearly supposed to be the final announcement and probably what they thought was going to drive the most new people to the event. So things just got really messed up when it was getting accidentally leaked in Mexico as before we had any announcements. So that's why it's probably in this weird state, but we should be getting that soon. We are confident we're getting it, and I'm treating it as if it were a fact. So we've talked about Fallout, but we did get some new information. So let's talk about the new stuff. Again, this is from that UK event, and thank you, Darren. So at the event, they said it's going to check the boxes for both gamers and the show fans. That's good to know. They mentioned that we're going to see the Vault, the Bloody Wedding, Rad Roach, Gulper, T60, and a lot more. For the and then there were some other mentions of locations like the Wasteland, Philly, and the Super Duper Mart. And they mentioned that the Gulper they created is giant. So that's pretty exciting. I have since seen this show and I really enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie. So now it's getting pretty high in my hype list. Jason Universe, we talked about it, but we did get a little extra. So Laura called the house Insidious times 10. It will have multiple versions of Jason in a gauntlet of Jasons, including the new Jason. In Jason Universe, you'll get to visit Camp Crystal Lake, Jason's Kill Shack, and amazing classic moments from the Jason universe. This house is from the team that created the Insidious house and the Red Curtain Room, so expect the Jason around every corner. Insidious was the scariest house that I remember in a long time. I want everyone to understand, and I hope they're not overselling this, but I feel like they might be. However, I'm still excited. Jason's one of my favorites. The first original announcement was unveiled at a Spooky Empire, and Laura happened to be there, but fan favorite Mike Aiello was there and did most of the talking at this event. We're so excited to have him back in the HHN scene. He was with Epic Universe for several years, so we lost him for a bit, and I just feel like he's a big part of why we're so excited about this year's HHN. So El Artista, a Spanish haunting. In 19th century Spain, a tortured artist moves to an isolated country manor to seek inspiration. Instead, as he wanders the ghostly hallways and haunted conservatory, malevolent spirits break into our realm through his paintings. He tries to resist, but the art comes to life and possesses him. Now you're about to be a part of the permanent exhibition. Mike Aiello talked about what he thinks an icon is. It's funny because it came up from this house. He's basically saying now that he's going to let the fans determine who is and who isn't an icon. But I'll tell you right now, I believe it was Disco Liz, the first person I heard articulate what I agree with completely on the subject. And it's that the artist here is is the victim, not an icon. So I don't believe we're getting an icon this year. What I mean by that is this victim is the one being tortured by the spirits. We will be too, but he's part of he's the victim here, not the evil behind it. We got a little bit more information at that UK event, and it said this will feature the conservatory, which is the origins of horror, which ties into the overarching theme of the event. It's going to be this beautiful house will have not one facade, but three. That's some great information right there. That means this is going to be probably the most beautiful house we get this year. Another original, Hatchet and Chains, Demon Bounty Hunters. In this old west town, all hell is breaking loose. Masses of red hot lava demons are crawling out of hell's well and trying to possess everyone, melting everything in their path. As you flee from the post office to the bank, the prison to the graveyard, your only hope is Hatchet and Chains with their arsenal of mystical weapons. You know, it finally dawned on me that Hatchet and Chains are the actual names of the bounty hunters. I just thought it was describing the weaponry being used in the scene. It's wild. This was taken right from last year's House Slaughter Cinema 2, and in there we saw hatchets and chains. So it's just funny. Maybe you don't find it as funny, but I thought it hysterical when I had the eureka moment that these are the names of the bounty hunters. We did get just a touch more information from the UK event, and we know that it is set in an Old West cowtown, which is being taken over by demons from Hell's Well. They kill people by climbing into people's bodies and burn them from the inside out. You'll see a demon coming out of the face of a human in this house. All right, I'm here for it. Next, we learned about dolls. Let's play dead. You are about to become doll-sized and witness the unnatural creations of a twisted little girl. You'll be hunted by fashion dolls she's melted and burned. Then you'll go under her bed and be stalked by toys she's stitched together. You'll end in her creepy Victorian dollhouse where undead horrors await you. Is this a ripoff of Toy Story and Sid's role in it? Sure, but do I care? No. We learned from the UK event that you are going to be shrunk down to the size of a doll. You'll constantly feel small with everything oversized around you as you enter a dollhouse. The house gets bloodier as you go through it. Kind of checks the comedy box. It follows Lila, a sadistic little girl who likes to torture and terrify and rip apart her dollies. We're the size of all her tormented, and disgusting dollies. The facade is a fashion dollhouse that Lila has defaced. Every attention to detail was made so that you constantly feel small. There's a giant electrical plug on the wall, and everything here is oversized. You'll see Lila peer through the windows of her dollhouse. You're going to be able to meet Lila, the main character of Dolls Let's Play Dead, in another place in the park as well. From 2014, HHN 24, there was a house called Dollhouse of the Damned, and we're definitely going to get a lot of props from there. One thing it had was giant babies in these giant cribs, and I'm sure, as we know from this description, I'm sure we're going to see them again, right? Let's hope it doesn't have the baby powder and poop smell as well. Yeah, I said poop. Another original, Grave of the Flesh. Welcome to your funeral, where things are about to go from bad to worse. You'll enter your grave and then pass through the gates of the underworld, where flesh eaters who feed on the dead will be waiting for you. Get lost in their cavernous underground world, where an endless gauntlet of flesh-eating creatures will hunt you mercilessly for all eternity. While it does sound simplistic, it does have an interesting spin, where instead of being a witness, usually it's your grave, it's your funeral. Laura at the UK event. What happens after you die? You're being eaten by vicious flesh eaters. You're going to be eaten at your gravesite, where you'll see and smell the soil being put on top of you. You really feel like you're being buried. What happens after you die? Well, creatures are tearing all of the flesh off your body, stealing your body parts, and taking them deeper into the belly of the earth. And for the last of the originals, we learned Galkin, Monsters of the North. So we originally thought in fact, this is one of the few changes from the original spec map. We originally thought we were getting a Viking house way back in version 1 of that spec map, but it really wasn't that far off because here we are talking about the Norse. But in a remote northern village, a wicked being rises from the dead, bringing a horde of monsters and demons from the fjords to wreak havoc on the townspeople. You'll face icy, horned, winged, and wolfish fiends that gradually merge into one giant horror. Then you'll try to escape the belly of the beasts. I enjoy mythology, but Norse isn't something I'm super familiar with. I do remember from my early days playing D&D, and yes, I played D&D, and coming across the Fenris Wolf, which might be what we see in that concept art. This old Norse language that they're using here, Galken, is very hard to find much info on, but if you do Google it, the one thing that is clear is Galkan means monster. And we finally got the official announcement that Terrifier is coming to the event. Nothing can prepare you for the grisly haunted house based on all three of Damien Leone's Terrifier films. Try your luck against the sadistic Art the Clown in his Twisted Funhouse. Witness Art's gleefully grotesque handiwork of torture. You'll be left literally dripping with terror and drenched with fear. It's a whole new level of gore. While they were selling Jason as Insidious times 10, this is the house that actually makes me a little nervous, just a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. This is, I have never seen these films. I'm not going to see these films because it's just too gory for me. There is no doubt in my mind I'm going to go through this house, but this is the one that's going to have me a little unsettled. At the UK event, the team at HHN worked very closely with Damien Leone on the house, which they say is the bloodiest and goriest house that HHN has ever done, with more water effects than in any house ever. In fact, there are so many water effects in the Terrifier house at HHN that guests will have the option of choosing a dry or a wet path when exiting. And yeah, that just makes me even more uncomfortable. I am so excited. I think I mentioned before that I will be attending on the premiere night and I am going by myself. And the idea of going through this house by myself makes it more terrifying. And then I know that I'm just, whether I want to or not, I'm going to have to go through the wet path. So I'll report back. So the only thing we know nothing about is there's that one missing house, right? But since the spec map was dead on, and then with a lot of coincidences coming around to play in the wrestling world, I'm just going to pretend that this has already been announced and say Wyatt 6 is coming to the event. It can't be coincidence that the Wyatt 6 storyline had been dead for years, I think, at this point. But then out of nowhere, a month ago, there's a tag team back and they just won. So I'm definitely no expert in the Wyatt 6, but I have started to kind of check it out a little bit through, I know there's a documentary that I do have to actually watch, but I watched a YouTube video with somebody breaking it down, and it's definitely horror themed and it's definitely going to fit. And it should be an interesting mix, bringing another group of people to the event that might not have normally showed up. So it's pretty wild. And there's nothing that out of all these, including this house, there's nothing that I'm disappointed in. Everything seems fresh. I'm very excited. This seems like it's going to be the best year we've had in a while. I'm so excited that I'm going to not only I'm going to go to the premiere night. I'm going open, and of course I'll stay for opening weekend. And I'm going to go back and close the event too. So I'll be able to report if what changes from the beginning to the end, and because things always do. But this is really on paper looking like the best year we've had in a long time, if not ever. I cannot wait to experience it and see if, and hopefully not be disappointed. We have since learned a little bit about the scare zones. Might as well talk about some things that were from that event. But on the topic, Laura had mentioned at the event that the reduced scare zones from last year have been thrown out the window, and you're going to see more scare actors and more scenics all around the park. More places that we're affecting all around the park. These are all good things. As soon as you cross through the turnstiles, we're sending you into the conservatory from El Artista. The trust sign will have the conservatory gates on the outside. A change to the opening truss at HHN 34. That sign will not be red this year. That sign will lead into that turquoise blue that matches the theming. And Laura Saul says that she's been asking for that change for years. Another piece of information, being inspired by our Hollywood partners at Universal Hollywood, they always have a Murder of Crow characters. We were like, we love those characters, so let's bring them to Orlando. So we now have larger than life crows. We will also feature stone statues carved by our chainsaw sculptors in this zone that feature our 5 intellectual properties. So let's get into what we have learned about these scare zones. First of all, technically there's only 4. which is a downsize, but you'll hear in the end, we're actually getting more than we usually do. First up was the Origins of Horror, which is that entry zone is mentioned already a little bit. Entering a decaying conservatory of twisted vines where artists carve tributes to Halloween Horror Nights 34. You'll encounter monstrous crows, gargoyles, and more. The media event also gave us a little bit more information on this zone. There will be statue gargoyles that come to life and welcome you into the conservatory. The wingspan on the gargoyles is huge. Next up, we have, believed to be in Hollywood, would be Masquerade Dance with Death. You're invited to a masquerade ball with bloodthirsty vampires lurk behind ornate disguises. When their masks fall, you'll become their prey. So it's interesting that we're not getting vamp. We're having vampires, but not with the vamp name. And I think that's because they want them to be more dangerous appearance, because there's always a bit of humor along with the vamp. So it's a change that I'm looking forward to. We have another scare zone. This is going to be in Central Park, or we expect it to be in Central Park. Travel down, the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane is the name of it. Travel down a spooky winding path to a mysterious home where trick-or-treaters are transformed into feral felines. Be careful or you'll be next. I didn't catch this last year, but it's been brought to my attention that there was a poster in Slaughter Cinema 2 last year with this exact concept in that words of Cat Lady of Crooked Lane. So now we're getting not just a house from Slaughter Cinema 2 last year, we're getting a scare zone. They do seem to be building a home at the end of the trail, and we can see it through people in the park giving pictures. So it's pretty exciting. It's like they're kind of expanding the zone right towards the back end. We are also expecting the wonderful pumpkins to return to the trees this year. I don't know how to describe it to anyone who's never seen it before, but it's absolutely amazing. It makes Central Park a place you want to just hang out and look at all the pumpkins. It's just so great. They're up in the trees. They're not close to you. You can't get close to them. And I'm sure little Boo will be hiding in there amongst them. So a little fun. It's a very tight zone, so it's a little bit hard to stay still in there. So, if you start looking at the pumpkins, someone's going to scare you for sure. And the scare zone that I have the most, at least, anticipation for, Mutations Toxic 20s. This will be in New York. In a bustling 1920s neighborhood, a BuzzCon truck with radioactive cargo crashes into a mobster getaway car, sending the city into toxic pandemonium. It mutates everyone in its path, including you. So let me get into why this is my most anticipated house. I am hoping, or more like praying, that we get some sort of projections like we had in Asset Assault back in 2011, HHN 21. I hope this happens, because this is where I would want to close out the event, sitting right there watching until the end. What they did was they projected onto the buildings of New York a facade of the building, but it was literally crumbling and just falling apart. And I can't describe it. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find something on YouTube if you want to understand what I'm saying. This is that's going back to 2011. It's been the one scare zone that has always stuck in my memory forever. I used to just grab a beer and get on a bench and watch the entire zone. But more than anything, it is the atmosphere that those crumbling projections created that just made it absolutely insane and next level. And I am really hoping it's there. And if it's not, I'm hoping I'm not too disappointed about it. So this year, there's going to be a little extra added content that will take immersion to the next level. That's a quote from Laura, but she said, we can't talk about everything yet, but what do we know? So it has been announced that we have Mel's Die-In Zombies and Club Horror coming. Now, Mel's Die-In Zombies, we expect obviously to be at Mel's, but I'm wondering, thinking from logistics, if it might be more towards the backside of Mel's, over like where the Transformer meet and greet is, or if it starts over there. But we do know before the event, any of these tidbits have been dropping. We knew that they had auditions for people who could roller skate. And we were all speculating back then. They were like, there's no way they're going to do that. But that has to be tied into this, right? It's going to be like the old waitresses, they're going to be zombies on roller skates from Mel's Diet. It's going to be fantastic. I can't imagine what else they would do. And they're going to have this club horror in San Fran. This is where we're sort of losing a zone, but in the end, we're not really losing a zone because it's never really been a zone, or hasn't in years. So let me read a little bit for what they said. Brave all new street experiences that take the horror to new heights, featuring zombie car hops, undead DJs, and more, with details coming soon. I expect some photo ops. I expect a DJ, and I expect, this to play out better than it has been in the last few years. And this isn't going to be for everyone for sure, but there's probably going to be some photo ops. And, again, we've had these zones that just didn't make sense. And this is what it's going to be better at. We did have a zone several years ago, Rob Zombie. I can't remember. It was Rob Zombie the year we had 1,000 corpses as a house, but he also had a zone. He had the Dragula out there. There was music. There was dancing. There was, it was amazing actually. And that's what they're going to, that was something that worked. And sounds like what they're bringing it back to. And that's great. So we have 4 legitimate zones, but we also have this Mel's Die-In. We have this Club Horror. We're hearing about this Murder of Crows, and I think they're going to put some more stuff back. I think we're going to get our chainsaw hordes maybe over by the Simpsons area, We'll see. But very exciting. Couple more tidbits that did come from that UK event. They said the HHN bar is coming back, along with photo ops in hotels. And to clarify the photo ops, hotels will have these in the North Campus, so studios and islands. They also confirmed that the tribute store is coming back. No other details, but these are things we got. So when it comes to the hotels, what they're saying there won't be over the photo opportunities over at the Epcot. Oh boy, in the Epic area. So Helios and Terra Luna and Stella Nova will not have photo ops. And that makes sense this year. I bet they'll have them next year personally. I think there's so much going on in Epic that they don't want to have people running back and forth. It's already a challenge for them with the transportation and so forth. Anyways, I am pretty excited, and I think it's time to wind this down. Let me ask you, what part of HHN are you most looking forward to? Please leave a comment below or on Twitter at UOFanaticPod. I'd love to hear what you're looking forward to most and when you might be going. I am honestly more excited than I have been in years, and trust me, I'm always excited. This just has all the pieces to make this year one of the best ever, or at least in quite some time. I'm all booked now, tickets in hand. Like I said, frequent fare plus with Express. I'm going to be there at the start of the event, including premiere night and closing weekend. I am just so excited for spooky season. Let's friggin' go. Please like and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. I would also really appreciate it if you spread the word about the show or share an episode on social media. I really would appreciate your support. Speaking of support, if you would like to support the show, please consider allowing me to assist you and book your Universal vacations. I am an authorized Universal Orlando Resort specialist with decades of experience at touring Universal Orlando Resort. Remember, my services cost you nothing. Absolutely free. I am paid for by Universal Destinations. Find out more at UOFanatic.com, where you can fill out a short form on the right sidebar to let me know how to get in touch with you about your Universal Orlando vacation. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Guess that wraps things up. You guys did all right. But don't give up your day job. Say cheese. See you later.
Congratulations, you're a hero.